Welcome to Ferrer Aesthetics. I have two wonderful guests with me today. We have the creator of the Ferrer technique, and we have Dr. Marcial, our medical director, who runs and conducts all of our medical trials. And we're going to do an extensive interview today to learn about the story and then learn about how Dr. Marcial was able to pull off such an amazing medical trial with the Ferrer technique and traditional therapy. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Dr. Marcial, Oquendo Marcial. Tell us a little about yourself. Tell us your background, where you're from, and
Sure.
how did you end up meeting us?
Okay, so I'm originally from Venezuela, right? So I grew up there. I did my medical school there, and then as soon as I was done with medical school, I came to the States. And for the first 4 years, I actually worked at a dermatology office, working with a brilliant dermatologist, also Venezuelan, Dr. Abramovitz, and he was the mentor for me. So I spent a lot of time working with skin. He conducted all the clinical trials that you can imagine. He's a world expert in eczema and psoriasis, and during that time, I got to write and publish a lot, which helped me eventually get into residency here. I ended up doing pediatrics. So my idea was to do pediatric dermatology is really what I wanted to do. And but life kind of conducted myself to once I was done with pediatrics, go into practice, and then after practice, I was able to open my own business. But I always had that thing about skin, about doing derm. When especially when the pandemic happened and things kind of slowed down because everything slowed down during the pandemic,
Absolutely.
I was able to dedicate a little bit more time into that passion. So I started being medical director for med spas. I started doing more of the medical aesthetics side as well than just the medical dermatology part in pediatrics. So that's when I got in love with the machine that was called therapy. I saw it. I loved it. It was great. It was the first machine, the big machine that I ever bought for medical aesthetics, and till this day, I still say it's my favorite one. But I have all kinds of lasers. I have all kinds of devices. They're all great. They're all fantastic. They all have that particular thing that they do great. Therapy was my first, and then because I had the therapy machine, one of the people that work with therapy a lot, Victor, and he said, "Hey, you really need to meet these people. Like they are doing something incredible with that machine." And I guess the rest is history.
All right. Great introduction, and it's lovely how everything's full circle nowadays, right? We actually saw Victor today.
That's right.
So that's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Marcel. And I'm going to go over here to the creator. So I want to know the history of what inspired you to start the beauty industry, getting in, coming from Venezuela. I know we're all from Venezuela, so that's a pretty cool thing. I think that's everybody knows our country as beauty and, the lead founders of aesthetics and things like that, innovation. So Miss Sibel Ferrer, please introduce yourself to the world and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Dr. Oquendo. This is actually very emotional for me and excited because I have no idea what ending here. But I am from Maracaibo, Venezuela. Very proud to say that. And how I started in the beauty industry. I think we born as be a female in Venezuela. We born with aesthetics, with beauty, with walk straight, be careful with the sun, cover your face. When I remember my mother, and actually I want to dedicated my book, my journal to my mother because she's actually how I started. She was a nurse and actually pediatric in Chiquinquirá, Hospital Chiquinquirá in Maracaibo, and she's a hard worker. She was working in long shifts in the nighttime. And when she's coming home, I remember even it was early in the morning, the first thing she do is take her uniform, take a quick nap, and say, I need to take a nap because my baggage start to go. So that's how I started in the beauty. I moved with my three children to the United States in 1998. Always searching for beauty. Of course, this is a country, not my first language. It's hard to find professional. In that time, now it's more. Now it's a lot of Colombian, Venezuelan. Most of the people, I mean, here was from Mexico, but they know was too much in the aesthetics. Now everybody is, but that time it was very limited. So every time I go into Venezuela, I'm doing things in there because I cannot get it done in here. So raising my kids was a dental assistant for 9 years. Then raising my kids, I decided to open a home daycare. And that's when I started. I was working for a little bit with one of the doctors doing maxillofacial reconstruction, and his wife, it was a plastic surgeon, and I went one time to help her. I really get the passion too, and I want to do this. I know I'm not a doctor, but it has to be a way. So in 2011 is when I started searching for the beauty in the United States, and I started doing trainings online because I have the daycare. I was able to do my trainings online and searching, asking how I can do this. And one of my doctors, she said, I will make a director for you. I don't think that is right now is happening, but if you want to open a med spa without a doctor, I think it's doable. The longer you know doing needles, the longer you know doing laser removal, because by the law in that time, I start with the laser removal training actually because it's teaching a lot. In the first academy I found there was a National Institute. They was the first I saw they doing everything in one class, but it was super expensive. It was in that time. In 2012, it was $10,000. But of course, I cannot do that. As I started doing the basic thing, dermabrasion, microblading, and one of those training, I went to Miami to doing actually the microdermablading training, and I went to the training. It was another lady from Venezuela. The lady was training us. The trainer was from Portland. And my compatriot, Venezuelan, her name is Carmen. I'm allowed to say her name. She barely speaks English. Not that mean my English is perfect, but I was able to communicate and understand the training. So she had a lot of issues, struggle. And we started a relationship there. I was helping her to understand what is the training, what did they said. And then we started peeling a kiwi with a blade. And I make it the comment saying that I always said, it's a good to asking or making sometimes a stupid question because you don't know what you can find out about it. And I said, this does not make any sense. We're peeling a kiwi, pretend it's the face, so we're going to shaving the face with a blade, this can happen. The hair is gonna be thicker, and when they grow back, I wish I can find a technology, something, time machine. They can reverse aging. They can make us younger. We don't have to go to surgery. We don't have to doing this. This is very superficial. Want something deep, strong. And then she told me it is one. It's a therapy machine. Only plastic surgery can use it. I'm working with one in Miami, but it's a show right now in Orlando, Florida. That weekend I was there with her, and she said we can go, and I showed you. Maybe they haven't in the show because it's a big show for aesthetics. And as soon as I saw it, I fell in love.
So you knew it when you saw it that this is the machine?
We have a connection. We have a chemistry.
That's awesome. And it looks like Dr. Marcial also had a connection with the machine.
I did.
All right.
Yeah.
So my curiosity is, let's talk a little bit about the history of therapy. We know it's a non-invasive ultrasound facelift technology that's FDA cleared, has won continuous awards for being the best aesthetic, but people are so scared of it. So Dr. Marcel, can you please elaborate a little bit on that topic of, what is the difference between what we're doing and what has been going on for the last 2 decades?
Okay, so it is a great machine. The only problem, and the reason why even my colleagues, I speak about this a lot with my colleagues, and the response of anyone who knows who knows about the machine is like, isn't that very painful? Like, we bought the machine, we used the machine, but then the patients would complain, and then we got something else that wasn't as painful, so we end up gravitating to that. It's like, well, do you get the same results? It's like, no, but they don't complain as much, so that's what we use. So it's like, it's still the best machine, and they know it, but they just say we can't get people to sit down and do it. Of course, there's always people that is like, I'll take it, right? I'll white knuckle it, but the results, because you don't see the results in the traditional technique, you don't see them right away, you don't see them soon enough, then in the American market was, I want to see results now. I want either my face to melt down that I can see something was done, or I want to be able to see results very quickly. So therapy wasn't quick, and it was painful. So it wasn't, even though the rest of the world seems to be fine with it, like Asian market, still therapy is king. The American market just didn't have the same response, but nothing was clear. For example, that, non-surgical facelift, right? Everyone wants that. I want a facelift, but I don't want to go to surgery. This is the only one that can claim it in the United States, because they have the papers, the studies to show, yes, we can do the equivalent of a facelift, right? Nothing is 100%, but it's the equivalent of a facelift without using any actual needles or shots or anything. And your face is going to look great. So that's the machine that can do it. So most of the not misconceptions, but most of the experience they've had was based on the traditional way of doing it, the way it was studied. And I always think, and I don't know if it's true, because I know one of the dermatologists or the plastic surgeon that really is like, he loves the machine. He said, I worked on the machine forever in the original trials. They did the animal trials, the biopsy trials. They did everything. But I always imagine a room full of like all these doctors and scientists testing on models and pigs and whatever, but not really thinking about the technique and how can we use it on a person, and how do we make it make sense on a person so they are not having pain. They just like, this is the way, and that was the way it was written in stone, and never to be deviated, because that was the way that, because it was presented to the FDA that way, the FDA said, well, that's the way you're gonna do it, and no one wanted to even think about outside of the box, not even too far outside of the box, but they didn't want to think, if this is the way that was approved, it's because someone thought that this was the best or only way to do it. And I think that's what Sibel kind of, either because she knew or because she didn't know, she was like, this doesn't make sense, let me try something different. And that's why I fell in love with when they showed it. I was like, whoa, this makes sense, right? And you showed me, and I saw it, and I saw the pictures, and I saw the people talking about it. And it's like, this is what we needed. We needed something that people would not feel afraid of doing.
Awesome, and I love how you say that. So what's the amazing thing here is when you talk to all these high caliber, high achieving doctors and mentors of yours, and for you to find somebody from your own country, look them face to face and see that this person took it outside of the box and actually figured out something that was more comfortable, better results, faster turnover rate. I mean, just kind of whole 360, the whole picture of therapy. What did you think when you met my mom and I? You met me first, of course. We met you at MC Skin.
Yes.
Here in Plano. What was your experience as far as like, because what we always got back is when we were trying to advocate for this technique, everyone says, oh, it's great concept. And they always went back to, are you guys doctors? Yeah. So now coming from a doctor, we would love to hear, and I'm sure the world would love to hear, what did you think when 2 immigrants came to your office, told you that we figured it out and we put our heart and soul into it. And, tell us that phase.
Well, look, it's not. It is a very inspiring story, and I'm happy or sad to say that it's not the only one, right? So it's a lot of great medical devices, medical breakthroughs were done by the tech at the lab, was done by the nurse that was helping the surgeon and realizing, hey, if we had this tool, this would be easier, right? So a lot of great inventions are not necessarily from the doctors. They get a lot of the reputation, obviously, they do the trials, but great ideas, even the little scrubby caps that we use for the IV light, all of that was done by the people who were actually doing the work, the people who had to do the grunt work and now realize it's like, hey, there has to be a better way to do this, right? It wasn't the super smart PhDs and labs, it was the people doing the work. So, and I think one of probably most famous examples of this was the hot Cheetos guy. I don't know if you've ever read that story.
No,
So, you
elaborate, please.
You have to. So, hot Cheetos was literally, I believe he was like the cleaning guy at whatever Frito-Lay or the place that they, and he used to just grab a bag of Cheetos and put some hot sauce and Valentina in it and stir it up, and everyone loved it. And he was like the cleaning guy. He had to, I hope they make a movie out of this guy, because he had to really try to get this in front of other people, because he was just a cleaning guy till they took him seriously. And I believe they then ended up making him like leader of like product development, just because he was able to like bring hot Cheetos, because he's like, here's Cheetos, which I love, here's hot sauce, which I love, what happens when I mix it? And it sounds ridiculous because we all know it, right? It's like,
everybody loves hot Cheetos.
Yeah, who doesn't know this, right? But at the time in Frito-Lay, they weren't doing it. And so this guy had to press, like, who are you? Like, oh, this is a great idea, but who are you again? And he had to overcome that until they're like, oh man, this is a great product. This is a great idea. We're gonna launch it. People loved it, and I think now he's a millionaire, right? But it was just out of the, ingenuity can come out from anywhere. The silly line from Ratatouille, right? The movie, but it's like anyone can be like brilliance can come from anywhere.
That's right.
This is an example of that. So. It doesn't matter whether you're doctors or not. I mean, you're doing the work. Sibel was doing the work. She had the machine. She had the patience. She had the need. She had the curiosity, and that curious mind of her, doesn't matter what degree she had, came up with a $1 million idea because she was there, right? And that's what I saw. That's what I saw when I recognize it. And the more I work with you guys, the more I see it. And I'm not the only one, right? Every time you present this to anyone that listens, they come to the same conclusion.
Well, that's great. Thank you. So I really I love that hot Cheeto, and it looks like we have a hot Cheeto story over here. So that's so great that, you can come to this country, especially us being from a third world country, Venezuela, and, all the government things that are going on. A lot of those things are out of our control. And we have to come to a place like this and really make a name for ourselves. So Ms. Ferrer, I want you to tell them the story of the perseverance that you had to endure, because a lot of people knocked you off, told you can't do it, said that you weren't able to, said that this is not patentable. Tell us a story of what made you not fight for it, but believe that this is the evolution of this technology.
You call me mom, okay?
Okay, mom.
Okay. When I first got the machine, and the time I got the machine, it was from the owner of the company was, you asked before, you want to know a little bit the history about Utera, right? So let's go back a little bit there. When I got the machine, and the first thing when I sat myself, I throw the piece in the bed, the steady bed. I don't want to use that. This hurt. I want to hurt somebody. Just the training, the sapping over and over and over in the same area, it shocked me. This is what I haven't done. I mean, I know by science making sense, because um, that was the first idea I had. It was the ultrasound. In my 9 years and dental assistant, I knew the ultrasound could do more than just a simple image. Like that's the first thing when you're thinking about ultrasound, it's image, right? If it's somebody, it has to be engineer or something. Is the only people really know what the ultrasound, the power of the ultrasound, and that's the name of the book, The Power of Ultrasound. It's a lot of things we can do it. So when I gotta get it terrified, and I said, wait, number one, this is an ultrasound machine. Why they zapping like laser? One of my first certification in the aesthetic was laser, right? By the laser, in the training, they teaching us to mark the face as a laser, right? So it's zapping like laser. You know, you go line by line. That way, overlap and hurt the follicle. Let's talk about follicle a little bit. So that way, overlap the follicle and not creating damage in the skin. So that was my first red flag. I said, this is something that's wrong in here. They're using this machine as a laser. Actually, they was calling a laser. And we have some training, they calling laser, and surprised me. And it's because being using as a laser, creating the line, following the line. And that was it. That's the red flag, like I said. And ultrasound, you have to move it. It's waves. The wave, it has to move. Otherwise, you're creating damage because, go back to my dental assistant, 9 years experience, how the doctors doing actually different treatment. They're using different device. It's an ultrasound, but cavitron to clean the teeth, to break the stone in between the calcification. They use the cavitron and it's power ultrasound. And sometimes it hurts because they living too long in the place. It hurts in the patient. That hurts, of course, because the vibration can go inside the nerve system if you live in there. So that was my first red flag. This is ultrasound. They living too long. That hurts. So, but I'm not a science. I'm not a doctor. I am no engineer. So I started searching more. Maybe it's somewhere else out in the United States. Here it's be controlled by FDA, everything. So maybe it's a different way to do it in different country. So I take a training in Istanbul. And in that training, they said the Ultra machine, it was created by the first one, not the Ultra, the technology to creating injury in the skin, microfocal ultrasound, the high field, is created for kill cancer, kill cells, cancers, bad cells.
So the focused sound would penetrate cells that were cancerous.
And that is that day, and I got it. The reason they marking with the white pen is because when they start to doing the treatment, it was the Ultra machine have a two type of ultrasounds. Now, actually, today, Victor explained to all that they changed that. Now it's a real time. When you zapping, you see the coagulation points you created. So the legacy machine, it have a dual ultrasound. Basically, you detecting the area, and that was what's created to find what is the cancer cells. That's why it's scanner. And they find it, they marking where's the white pen, and they zapping in that area. Is because they saw with the ultrasound, here is the area. Mm-hmm. So it was using for prostate cancer. And that is when they find out, this is the testicles look younger, tight, lifting. And that's why they said the lifting and wood therapy machine is the only one FDA clear to lifting the skin because I was testing in testicles. So when they lifting, they doing the treatment for cancer, the skin left. So that was an accident as well. How they found out was for one purpose, for prostate cancer, and then they, this can be for aesthetic as well. It's tight and lifting the skin. So I started putting things pieces together, but I still was afraid to sapping my clients, the patient. We call him patient because we need a medical director. This machine is an ultrasound, very powerful machine. We need to have a medical director. So we coming a technician for the doctor. We still call him patients because it's patient from the doctor. And that's why a lot of people start to get a high fuel machine from China, but they know they're as a powerful as Ultera. Ultera is created to penetrate in the skin the more deep as possible because they was try to kill cancer cells. So that was my first. And I said, but this is an ultrasound. If we leave in too long, we can create a serious injury in the patient. So I start to moving the handpiece. And I have a wonderful, wonderful patients. They love the treatment, but because by sign it making sense. But by treatment, by patient, it's terrible. We have eyes herniations, fat loss, and different issues from before. So people look in the internet. When one of the patients says, Sibel, you know what you're doing? Did you see the reviews about this machine? It's very dangerous. And I said, no, I haven't seen anything. And they start to show me, look, how many lawsuits. I'm talking about 19. When I get the machine, it was 2014. And it was terrible. By that time, it was owned by Ultera. So then now Merz on the machine and start to different ways to using the machine, reduce the energy to not creating injury. So, but that's the reason I think is creating very serious damage because they living too long. The heat and the penetration of the ultrasound is actually irritating the nerves, creating the nerves angry, and of course they will losing fat. Because also in my other trainings, I took it was a cavitation for remove cellulite, right? It's a cavitation, also another type of ultrasound, but that they move the handpiece. By the way, that was one of the patents. When I was making the patent for Ferrer technique, it was one of the patents I had to fight because they moving the handpiece was the ultrasound. And that a little pieces is the one creating the technique. This is not making any sense. This is common sense. And they losing fat because the ultrasound can break it, the fat cells. They're very sensitive. They're very easy. But also, I found out the ultrasound also can drain in the lympha.
The lymphatic system? The
lymphatic system. So we can talk for hours and hours, and I'm fascinated about this because it's been very inspiration and love for beauty and love the Ultera machine. I love that machine.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go back over to Dr. Marcial. So after hearing the story and knowing all the negative connotation that this technology had and meeting the Ferrer family and learning about the Ferrer technique and being a part of the family for a good couple of years now, can you tell us what was, you had your expertise. What was your strategy as far as what you thought was best for us to get our name out there or put ourselves, because you're the one that kind of mentored us and to kind of get into the medical studies. Because when we first met you, we were like, what do we do with this? We're working on the patent. I think it was provisional at the time, so it wasn't approved yet. And we had met you, and you kind of stepped in as the medical, the medical and research side. Tell us that side of the story as far as.
Yeah. So, well, kind of exactly. It's I had all this experience with research. We had done many research trials for different aesthetics, medical creams, all the things. I had published quite a bit by the time, and I thought, if one of the problems you have is that people might not take you seriously because you are not doctors, but doctors look at medical science literature as the source of information. Like, if I want to see something, you have to show me. If you need to show me the article. What's your reference? Where are you quoting from? And I think that is what it is a currency amongst physicians of, where did you get that data? Show me the publication, right? Yeah. Everything has to be quoted. Having a trial and designing a trial, because we had to go through the design period, how we're going to do it, how many people we're going to do it, go through the IRB, which is the permission to use it on humans, and be able to be published. Where are we going to go? Which journal we're going to be? Because we don't want to, thorough cut rates. Nobody's going to know. Nobody is going to read it. How do we get into like a good journal, right? That was the process of giving legitimacy to the science you've already done, but now we kind of have to prove it. And it's like, if it's not written, it never happened. That's an axiom in medicine. Like, medical documentation is key. So in this case, we do it, we write it, we document it. No one can now refute the results, right? And which is good, because as doctors, we're supposed to be skeptical. We're supposed to doubt. We're supposed to like, hey, no, well, you say this, but I want to see it. And then the way that we've designed the study, where we're doing half of the face with traditional and half of the face with the Ferrer technique, and we're taking pictures before, right after, 3 months after, 6 months after, right? Because most of traditional therapy, they'll say, well, your results can be peak at 6 months. Mm-hmm. So it's like, fine, we'll wait for the peak results of the traditional, and we'll compare it to the Ferrer technique. And I can't say too much because it's still going to be
still in the mist.
Still in the mist. But I can say that we've had very positive reactions, and both techniques work. And that's the important part. It's like, because they say, well, it doesn't hurt. So, well, if I spray you with water, it doesn't hurt either. But is it gonna work?
That's right.
It's gonna lift your face.
Is it gonna lift your face? So here we're seeing great results, but the what is it? The proof is in the pudding. Okay. We're gonna publish. We're gonna show, and it's gonna be now. Anytime anyone asks you, hey, how it's been published. Here's the article. You can quote it. It's on this journal. They'll know it by name. So that is, I think, a good way of getting that recognition of the work that you guys have already done. And then after that, very, very few can argue with when you have that solid proof written down.
Well, that's exactly why we have you on the team, is because if it wasn't without you, my mom and I essentially would be at square one. So, of course, giving the trust, and I think God put us in the same place as you, because we come from the same country, and, we've always said to stick together and do things as a brotherhood and sisterhood. So it's amazing to see just how it's flourished. And I know that we have done so many different types of discoveries in the process. I mean, there's so much more going on than just aesthetics. I know we're dabbling into the medical side. I know that we had just come across something so amazing in the last 6 months.
Yes.
Figuring out that therapy, the technology, actually helps and restore the hair follicle. So, and I want to talk a little bit more about that, because we're still in the midst of working and proving that. Yes. But it's very promising information that we have, and some positive people that are growing hair that were not able to grow hair before. So I want to kind of go on the topic is, what does the next 5 years look like for us? Let's just say, what is 5 years? We've already done this for close to 5 years already. So what does the next 5 years look like for us? For you, Dr. Marcial, after your island, after you buy your island.
After I buy my island. So I don't know. I guess a good way of looking at it is like, what happened between the time they discovered the hot Cheetos and 5 years later, right? So now there's not a single person, there's not a kid in any high school anywhere that hasn't like had a bag, right? So it was that big. It was from nobody had ever heard of it to nobody has not tried it, right? So I think that's gonna be what is gonna happen with the Ferrer technique. It's gonna anyone who wants to do anything with aesthetics is gonna say, hey, yes, part of my routine is gonna be to do the Ferrer technique, right? It's kind of like people hear Botox or Dysport or Xeomin or whatever, any of those brands, and they immediately like have the reaction. Like they know what it is. They can either say I've had it or not have it. I want it, but I haven't done it, but they immediately know what it is. With therapy, I think it has gone away a little bit. It's starting to come back, but with Ferrer, it's gonna be a household name in the sense like just the way we say Botox. It's gonna be like, hey, have you had your Ferrer technique done yet? And it's like, or whatever however they're gonna call it, but I think everyone's gonna be, yeah, I did that last year, or I did it 6 months ago, and it's gonna be part of the routine, especially of all those people who are already in the industry that want to do something like laser hair removal. Even not too many years ago, like everyone was just doing waxing, and there's still waxing places, but hair removal, laser hair removal has become ubiquitous. Like you can find it, you find a hair removal salon next to a med spa, next to a doctor's office, and they're all in the same block, and they're all full with patients, right? And there's lasers and lasers and lasers nowadays, right? I think with therapy, we're gonna have the same. You're gonna see it in med spas. You're gonna see it in spas. You're gonna see it at high end and low end. You're gonna see it in medical offices. Come back. People are gonna dust them off.
Yeah.
And they're gonna say, it was like, oh, I didn't know I had. I remember I had that machine somewhere in the closet. And it's like, I'm gonna bring it back because people are gonna ask for it by name.
That's right. So, and great input on that, because I agree. I agree that old therapy was once the gold standard, which, gold standard means that it's luxury, it's exclusive, it's only meant for certain amounts of types of people. But the goal here with the Ferrer technique, because of the technique, we actually save a lot of money in consumables. So the goal here is to make it more affordable for the common consumer too as well. So take it from a gold standard down to the standard of beauty, right? So what's your take on that, Mom? What are your 5 years? What do you see?
I would see myself more younger. I'm not shy to say I'm 54, almost 55, and I think 5 years from now, I want to look even better of the same, and that's already for a woman. That's
a good goal.
That's the goal, to look better, meaning if I look better, my technique is proven. I feel sometimes like a billboard. People say, how old are you? Or well, walking with you to a place, they say, your brother is your boyfriend? It says, it's my son. And I say, what? That to me is satisfaction, not only because I look good and feel good, my self-esteem is good, because, that's the big thing about beauty. Beauty is not only I want to look beautiful, also it's a self-esteem issue here. And I think everybody want to look like me, like Salma Hayek, now the new face for therapy. Who knows? We just start about the study for the hair regrowing. And sapping a couple times, Dr. Oquendo and I were talking about it, and we both was a little bit nervous, but it was the technique. You pushing through, and you get a result. So I think that the Ferrer technique will be allowed to do more than what we think. I talked to a doctor, dermatology, last week, and I said, we can do it in the hands. And he said, really, the hand? The hand is no treatment for the hand, only fillers. It's the one they pushing and the radio frequency, but you have to do multiple times. You have to keep going. And I said, no, with therapy, you can do it one time every 6 months, because we doing a lot with the hands. You can see my hands. I don't have 55 years hence 55 years old. Hence, so I don't know. I don't know. I will keep putting my ideas together. I will keeping digging. I will, of course, with you guys helping me, Dr. Oquendo. We've been talking a lot, different things we can do, and because to me, it's just beautiful to we can help others as well.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do, and I will find out. I will keep digging. I will keep figure it out. I will keep making questions. Dr. Kendo, answer to me, please. I have this question. I send the audios, I send all those things because that's how we do it. And I think, and I'm proud to say we are Venezuelans. We are passionate, and we're in the right place to keep going and helping. This country give you the opportunity to you just make money, but also if you're doing the step correct and the right things, it will helping you to helping others. You just have to go through the process. So we keep going with the process. That's what I see us in 5 years. I don't know on the island, but I know I will keep calling Dr. Oquendo. Answer, I have this idea.
Well, that's amazing, and hearing the story, especially the process that you had to go through, and I know your process has been very long since you came to America, finding a way, creating a path for your kids, and being successful with 2, 3 kids, 4 kids. I want the last thing that I want you to say here today is there's many people watching this that want to be inspired by somebody that is able to do that with so much luggage. What would be an inspirational way to tell an immigrant that's coming from whatever country that's wanting to pave a way for their family? What would you recommend?
Doing the Ferrer technique training. And no, I'm serious. It's a good opportunity to everybody because with the Ferrer technique, if you immigrant, the doctor, I see doctors that coming from different country and different nurse and anybody. So this country, like I said, is amazing. If you come to this country doing the right steps, the right things, you follow the law, you follow the process, is
Opportunities are endless.
opportunity for everybody. Opportunity. Thank you. I get a little bit emotional. I don't want to get it too emotional. But yeah, I went through a lot with being an immigrant, coming to this country with 3 kids, and later have my beautiful daughter. But by the time she born, I know I was already set up. I already was in a better place, financial. But I don't know. Anybody, everybody can follow their dreams. You keep going, and it's possible. Dr. Oquendo, he's an immigrant, and look, he is brilliant. He's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, I got a question for him next.
All right, go ahead.
But-
Let me introduce. How about this? Let me introduce. You do a presentation to us, but I want to introduce my son. He's the face for the technique because he's the always is going. And, hey, look, we're doing this, we're doing that. We have this wonderful business and stuff like that. So how you feel be part of the Ferrer technique?
Well, it is, I believe, since I was a small child when I came and was inspired by my mom because, I watched her work. This is a sentimental story, but, I saw how hard she worked, and she always taught, what her mom taught her, she taught me. She always says, I'm a male, so it's a little different, can't do my hair and things like that, but she would say, iron your shirt, make your bed, clean the house. So those little details that, as kids, we don't really realize that are actually our attributes to society. And that's why in the military they teach you to make your bed, the first thing you do. So the things that I have learned early on in my life that I thought was hardship was actually preparing me to become the man that I need to be a part of this technique, because representing the technique is representing the future of something. And I always want to become the best version of myself before I represent something. So what is it like to be a part of this? Honestly, I think it's what I was chosen to do in my life. I'm very passionate about not just beauty and aesthetics, but helping people feel better. Growing up in this country, I've dealt with racism. I've dealt with, adversities myself. Modeling later in my early 20s, people telling me how to look, how to think. You're good looking, so you shouldn't feel bad. You have it good. Those are the things that the industry is the misconception of the mental side of it, of the body dysmorphia, of how people feel about themselves. I'm passionate about the technique because it's evolving the industry as a whole. It's giving people back the power. And we're using energy, and we're using science, and we're using legal terminologies. America is legit because it is a legitimate system. If you want to leave a footprint here, do it here in this country, because if you do it somewhere else, it will wash away just like the ocean. But here in this country, you can leave a print. And being a part of this is an everyday job, and I strive to be the best me, to represent my company, my family, and because I know that I'm next up as far as what happens next in beauty. I took that torch. I never wanted it. I didn't ask for it, but I was born to do it. Because vanity it's a dark industry, but I think with the right people, with the right message, we can change the way how people feel. So that's my take. That's how I feel, and that's why I work on becoming a better me every day. So, and that's only through adversities and challenges of life. So.
I have now a question for Dr. Oquendo.
Okay.
I'm just a curious person with a lot of curiosities. Did you think, because I said, well, I have to prove it. Do you think with the power of the sound we have in our hand, the only one we have is the Ultera, with the Ferrer technique, they make it different, right? Because we do a multiple biohacking, the biohacking in the body, and then we've forcing the body to rebel them back. In your experience, in your knowledge as a doctor, as a science, I see you not just a pediatrician or dermatologist, I see you as a science because you go more and you digging as well. So investigation. What do you think? You think we do more than just aesthetics?
Yes, absolutely. So not only do we use ultrasound right now, even we have other applications and stones and clots and other things that we currently use, but I think looking more into how to expand this technology to create those little injuries, because one of the things is that you use the word biohacking, and it in a sense it's true. It's you're using tiny injury to tell your body, hey, wake up, you need to repair this, you need to fix this, right? It's like taking all the sheets off your bed and throwing them to the floor, and saying, okay, now I need to make the bed back again. So it's like it's a trigger. So the damage that is controlled with the therapy sends a signal to the body of, hey, something here is not right. Let's go repair it. Let's go heal it. And we all know that, especially with stress, with just aging, with poor diet, with poor exercise, with sedentary, like all the things that we do, our body just says, it's like, you know what, I'm tired. I don't want to repair myself right now. I'm just gonna let it go. And kind of metaphorically, in a way, like as people, we know that if you start letting yourself go, then you're not gonna do your best. You're not gonna look your best. You're not gonna feel your best. And that's kind of what the tissue does after repeated injury, after repeated neglect. And then so everyone's like, well, put a cream on it or put some Botox. And only, honestly, like toxins, what they do is just they paralyze the muscle. they're really not anti-aging. They have nothing to do with aging. It just paralysis of a muscle, kind of like it's a toxin, right? We actually call it that, right? So this technique helps tell the body, hey, you need to make collagen, you need to make fibrin, you need to repair, you need to wake up and do something, and that's what gets the results. So that's the anti-aging. You're not old and sitting down, and you're starting to get up, you're starting to walk around, and then suddenly you start looking and feeling younger. So it's the same thing. And I think most tissues in the body that suffer from aging, it's because of the same thing. It's repeated injury, not directed, not telling you to heal, that your body just gets tired and lets go. And if we focus some of these techniques into different areas, we might be able to recover certain things. And I'm thinking tissues like the eye that get old and just they're not healing, and skin, obviously, because
which is an organ, the biggest organ in our body.
Yes, our biggest organ in the body. But like what they were doing with prostate cancer, what they were doing with testicular cancer, what they're doing, those are always frontiers that I think Sibel says it right, that she's curious and she's excited to see how far we can go with this technology in not just making it about aesthetics, but making it about beauty. And everyone knows, if you do like PRP and we grab blood and we purify the healing factors of it and we inject it in your body, you're gonna get this kind of pump up healing process. Yes, it's true. It works. But if you do that tiny little dot with the old therapy machine, especially with Ferrer, because it still works, but just doesn't hurt, right? So it's something that you can keep up with. Then your body's gonna make those healing factors. It's gonna use those healing factors already in your skin, and they're gonna bring it to your that tissue, and it's gonna say, hey, now we have all these healing factors. How about we apply them right here? And that's what we're just homing a signal, saying, just come right here. Yeah, it's science. It is hacking the body's natural response of healing to go where we want it to go. And I don't think beauty is the last frontier for this. I think it has a lot more potential to do good.
I love that, and I'm going to leave it at that because that's the best way to close this out. So here at another episode at Ferrer Aesthetics TV, I have Dr. Marcial, our medical director and scientist, and we have the owner and creator of the Ferrer technique, Ms. Sibel Ferrer, and I'm your host, Bill Z. Ferrer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.